very serious conversation because I've already cracked Cassandra like 3 times before we even started. So super serious conversation. Cassandra, are you ready? And go.
I'm serious now.
Serious, yeah, totally. Something. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right. It's a long week. Lots of stuff happening. So
So do you want to hear a freelance gig I got today? That's kind of like mind-blowingly awesome.
yeah, let's hear it.
I got paid. I'm getting paid to play a card game.
No.
Yes.
What card game?
It's called Tungozi. I'll be on a stream doing I'll be play testing a game for the next few weeks or months and getting to make it. I am very good at making an ass of myself on the air. I think we can establish that. So because of that, I'm pretty sure I am uniquely qualified to do it. I am totally So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those situations where I just was like, hey, let's put my name in the hat, see what happens. There we go. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, I just BioShock right now. BioShock and BioShock Infinity has a bundle where it's free.
Yeah.
So I just downloaded that so I can eventually play it.
So you're a gamer then?
I am a gamer, yeah. I don't do a lot of first-person shooters, so I don't know how much I'll play it. But
I'm not much of a first-person shooter guy. I'm a JRPG guy. That's my love of that's my video game love. I'm big. I like good stories and I like good games. So that's kind of like that's just me. So JRPGs are actually right now like both. Like I'm a Persona 5 guy. I'm a Tales guy. Right? I don't know if you've ever played any of those series, but so here's the thing. So Persona 5 is probably like the best world building I've ever seen in a video game. It's a Sims game / an RPG game mashed up together in a really cool way. Cool. And it's actually incredibly well done how they put stories and stuff together. So I really dig that whole thing. Persona 5 is also a thief game. You're sneaking around stealing stuff. It's kind of cool. So the RPG component's a thief game, and there's a sim where you build relationships, and it's a neat story, and so it's really cool. The Tales games are kind of like my guilty pleasure because they're not really a guilty pleasure. They're good games. They're not great, but they're good games, right? And so I love it. I used to be a fighting game guy, so it has like fighting game controls. Okay. And it's an RPG where you level up and get cool moves and stuff like that, right? The skits with the characters after they win are hilarious. They're absolutely they're silly, they're zany, they're a little pervy sometimes. It depends on who you're the game, the parties and stuff like that. But it's like one of those situations where you look at it and go, this game is awesome, right? There's literally one of the games, you go the wrong way, you get a skit with one of the main characters who takes himself way too seriously, realizing we've gone the wrong way. It is absolutely one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a game. So it's just like, oh my God, I'm in. I'm just totally, those are my games. Those are my love. That's my love. So...
yeah, Dragon Age Origins is one of my favorite games. And in the first game, when you get to your companions walk around with you and they have the most amazing conversations. That's it's like yeah.
Yeah, no. Again, it's real. Because if you're really old school, like me, you're really old school, Earthbound is your jam. Because the dialogue in that game is years ahead of its time, years. It still holds up today. It holds up and it's good and people love it. So yeah, I'm old. Shut up, everybody. I know this, but it's
I'm
all
old
good
too, so it's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, don't think those are Dragon Age is a solid game. It's a really solid choice for a game. I like something a little bit more cartoony, but I can respect Dragon Age and Skyrim are totally respectable choices for video gaming, right?
Yeah, I'm Final Fantasy 14. I've played Star Wars Online, The Old Republic, which is so good. The first
Yeah, I agree. I can't do them. They're too addicting. I can't do them.
Okay,
there's this thing about WoW or RPGs online that are really, really good. They are legit really, really good. I would never get shit done ever if I was into those games. I'd be I'm just playing. Because here's the dangerous thing: video games and creating scratch similar itches. They're not quite the same itch, but it's close enough some days where it's I feel like I've accomplished something. Where in the video game, that means you beat a level. Whereas
Yeah.
when I'm accomplished something writing a book, I'm actually writing a book. You know what I mean? And then there's and WoW had this ability. I played it twice, and 16 hours of my life I will never get back. Decided that I would not. I can't do MMOs. I just can't do them.
No,
It's a self control thing. I have none, and I totally acknowledge this. And when you know there are temptations in life, and you know you can't avoid temptation. As she's adjusting her color, she doesn't quite like it.
Sorry.
It's all good. So I don't like this color. Click.
It's
But
fine. I'm back to the original.
Yeah, but I just learned like if you can't avoid in that situation, you just avoid temptation. That's what I've learned to do. It saves time, and because it's like I'm trying to beat this. I can prove I'm superior to this. No, I'm not. I can totally admit. Right, I can tell me no. I don't have those impulse control things. So sometimes I should not play these games, and it's not a knock on those games. It's the fact they're just being too good at what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to binge I binge my hobbies. So I'm either binge reading or binge cross stitching or binge gaming, or just chilling out and scrolling and watching TV or whatever. So I go in cycles. Right now I'm in a cross stitching cycle. So
There's nothing wrong with being a cross stitcher. I actually knew a guy who draws and cross stitches. Like puts all of the like X's and a lot of his stuff. It's good. It's a good technique. It's really, really good technique, and you can make really cool shit with cross stitching. So
yeah, I'm working on a big piece now. It's been 2 years and I'm still doing it. So it's really...
What is it? Now I'm curious. Like it's 2 years of your life. It's gotta be important.
It's a picture that I want to put in my living room. It is I don't know if it'll show up in the stream. It is 16 by 20. So it's a big piece, but it's got what's called confetti stitching in it, which means it's got a lot of color, like different colors, all in tiny little boxes all jammed together. So it's not lots of one color. It's a lot of different colors. So it takes way too long to do. Let me see if I can find the.
But I don't really feel like there's a joylessness in it. It's like it might take too long to do, but dang it, but you're having the time of your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is, I don't know if it'll show. I'll try. So this is the picture of what it'll look like in the end.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Our living room is turquoise. The walls are turquoise. So I think it'll go really well with that.
That's cool. Now I'm going to ask because I'm not cool. Who is that?
It's called an enchanted leprechaun. I have no idea.
So you're making it so. Not only was the mirrors wrong in this, but you have an enchanted leprechaun. So you got are you have a hidden Alice in Wonderland thing going on over there?
Maybe. One of the books I recently read that I fell in love with that I love is an Alice in Wonderland kind of book. So Neverwhere, which is by Neil Gaiman.
I remember that book way. I read it when it first came out. I read Neil Gaiman before he was cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start reading him until recently, like a year ago, 2 years ago. But I love the book, and the book I got was illustrated, so it had.
Ooh, you got the good one.
Yeah.
You got really.
It's like, okay, I need to own it. I got it from the library, so now I need to own it now because I will reread it.
So Neil Gaiman, I first read Neil Gaiman. Actually, Neverwhere is my first Neil Gaiman novel. My first thing I read was something called Angels and Visitations of Miscellany. It's it's a short story collection with illustrations by Dave McKean. It's also got some journalism pieces in there. There's also one of the stories in there is him getting drunk. I tried to sound really smart drunk, and by the fifth paragraph, the fifth drink, he's done. Yeah. And you know it. It's hilarious. But that was my first exposure to Neil Gaiman. The problem for me was I read Charles DeLint first and Ray Bradbury first. Oh. And that's not really a problem per se. I don't think anyone's going to do it. Like, if you've read either of those authors, you know that's not really a problem. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it may put me in a really odd spot. I respect Gaiman enough to say he's great, but I also think he's not quite for me because that itch got scratched by DeLint and Bradbury first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, some of Neil's books I mean, so the first book I read of his was The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which is perfect for me. It is my kind of book. I loved it. And then I read Stardust. I tried to read Stardust and I was like, this is not my book.
Stardust was originally a comic.
Yeah.
No, it's not your thing. It's not your thing. I totally get it. His best novels, in my opinion, are American Gods, Neverwhere, Good Omens, Terry Pratchett, because that book is amazing. And I love his short story stuff. Like for his prose, I like his short story stuff. But that again, if you notice that there's a lot of stuff I'm not putting on that list because it's just not for me. Now it doesn't mean I don't think it's good. That's not what I'm saying. It's one of those weird little moments where you can look at an author's work and say you're really great at what you do, but you don't hit the emotional buttons for me that Bradbury hits or DeLint hits or I feel like if I had read him before DeLint, I'd be more into gaming than DeLint, but I read DeLint first, so it's kind of it's one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I like Neil Gaiman. I will say an author that I've recently been reading is Jo Walton. I don't know if you've read any of her books.
Yes, I have. I have read some Jo Walton.
They're all different. Different, but they're all based on very specific stories, and so they're just I love all their stuff.
So currently, I'm reading a lot of indie books. So I read Christopher Raquel's his epic fantasy series, which is really, really good, called Divinity Twilight. Okay. It's actually really cool. It's got kind of a steampunk vibe to it, but it's also but the sensibilities of the characters are modern. Like they feel more like a modern epic fantasy kind of thing, which I think is really cool. So I'm reading that. I finished Jennifer Lieberman's Year of the What, which is just a year of sexual. Jen's a friend of mine. I read her book. It's a really good book. Not something I normally would read, but she's a friend, and I'm like, I'll read it. And it's like, wow, Jen's really, really good at what she does. So Jennifer Lieberman, you rock. If you are listening to this, you still rock. So right now I'm currently reading a book called Journey to Shadow by Stone Abdullah, and I'm actually not quite sure how to rate the book. Right, it's either a 3-star book or a 4-star book, and I'm not entirely sure which way I'm going to go on this. Right, because there is no 3.5 option. That's what I feel it actually is. Mm-hmm. His battle scenes are distracting because he gets caught up with a lot of cheesecake. But his cheesecake on its own is awesome. Like outside the battle stuff, he was raised with a bunch of sisters, and you can tell because he does the sibling thing so well. But it's cheesecake, and it's not. And again, it's not going to be for everybody, but what he does is really good there. But his battle scenes aren't as good as they could be, because again, he just gets it. That's just my own opinion. So I don't know if it's a 3 or if it's a 4, right?
Yeah, my scale tends to be, if it's a 3, I liked it, but I didn't really like it. And I'm an editor too, so it had too many issues for me to give it a 4. Like a 4 is more, I really like it and I recommend it. A 3 is, it was good. Some people will like it. Some people will like it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Like if I had a 3.5 option, that's where this would be. Like that's where it should be. It's not quite, I don't think it's honestly quite a 4, but it's not quite a 3 either. I think the stuff he does really good, really good. I just think whoever his next editor is should just tell him, hey, battle scenes, less of this, save it for your other scenes. Because your other scenes, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. It's just sometimes right. So Stone, if you listen to this, I am enjoying the book. But this is what I'm going to tell you to your face. I think you need to be a little bit more focused on your battle scenes when you get to them, and then keep the cheesecake for where it should be, which is everything around it. Like he wrote 80 pages of cheesecake, and I read the whole, I devoured it. It was like, okay, you're really good at this. It's just where you put it in the story in terms of the battle scenes. And then sometimes, and I get it too, sometimes it's about what you do what you're good at. It just isn't always good everywhere.
Yeah, but it's kind of, if you think about it, like the MCU and the Marvel movies, they have this whole pattern of breaking up serious moments with humor. It's a Joss Whedon thing. Joss Whedon started it and it kind of kept going. So some people think that that's the way to go, but the problem is if you don't, if you put humor in there and you don't allow the moment to have its weight, it pulls you out because you're like, but they didn't even get to grieve, or they didn't do. Come on, give us a beat, man. Give us a beat.
Well, I think this is what I think. I think so. When it comes to Jaws, I hated Buffy.
Oh gosh, I loved Buffy.
No. Hear me out on this.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I don't think Buffy is a I've enjoyed Buffy as a comic. I do enjoy parts of Buffy. There are some things I think Josh does incredibly creatively well. Once More with Feeling is one of the best things on television.
So good.
It's really good.
It's so good.
But because it forced him to put gravity in the right spots, because of again, he has this tendency to take a serious moment and ham it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine in small dosages.
Yeah.
Right? Having a little dark humor in a dark moment can sometimes be a moment for cathartic release for your characters.
Yeah.
But if you do it too much, it's campy as shit. And while I do appreciate the homages to Scooby-Doo a little bit in Buffy, Scooby was never a serious cartoon.
No.
Buffy tries to take it's sometimes it does for me. It's too much of having cake and eat it too, in the sense of if you're gonna be a serious show, okay, and you can have humor. I'm not saying you can't, but then you gotta be really judicious where you put the humor.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a judiciousness to it, right? Like a show that I think that had its genuinely funny moments was Babylon 5. Babylon 5 took itself very seriously. There were some really, really funny moments. Like one of my favorites, that still sticks in my head, was when Earth sent that gal to try to seduce Sheridan, and Obama just happens to pop in accidentally, which I thought was hilarious. It's like, well, Captain, I gotta go. You're about to boldly go where everyone's gone before, and I'm just like, okay, that was good. That was really, really. It was humorous, but it didn't take away the gravity of what them trying to escape a very awkward situation was. And in fact, the Obama period actually added to the awkwardness. There's a way to use humor that can actually. I'm speaking to an editor, so you know exactly where I'm coming from here. There's a way to use humor to enhance a scene, right? And there's a really, really fine line with enhancing or the camp, and that's why I hate Buffy. I think more often than not, the humor detracts from these really serious moments. And that's my criticism of Buffy as a whole. Right? There are other things. I think there are moments. Again, there are moments, even seasons of the show that are really good. But I think as a whole, there could have been a lot more gravity. I think in some things, or at least the humor could have been better served to enhance certain moments better. Right? That doesn't mean Buffy doesn't have funny moments. It doesn't mean that Buffy doesn't. The shows, my favorite shows, were when they did something, like I said, Once More Feeling. The other one, I don't know what it's called, where no one could speak.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
The Hush.
The Hush was really clever. Like I said, I think Buffy has some incredibly clever moments. It deals with some incredibly clever themes up until season 7. I think season 7 is an interesting. Again, I think it's my criticism that it tries to have too much of its cake and eats it too. So that's my opinion. Now, again. There are people here, I'm sure, that love Buffy, and I understand why you do. It is not a bad show, but I just think it suffers from the fact that it's a good show that, in my opinion, could have been a great show, and it's just right on that edge. And it's not a knock to the cast, not a knock to any of the things they did, and I honestly think some of the stuff that was done in that show was revolutionary, and I have to give it props. It's not the first novel on TV, that's Babylon 5, but it took the novel on TV concept and made it better. Took from Babylon 5 and he stole from it and he made it a better thing. And I think there's a lot of good that came from that show. But I can't call it a great show. I can call it a good show. Is that fair?
Yeah, everybody has their opinion. You can like or not like something.
Yeah, but that's good. But you were a fan of the show, so when you hear this, is they're going like, "That's nice, but you're crazy." You can alter an alternative take for me. I mean, I can learn something there.
I honestly think, the way the show was set up, there was a lot of drama in the show. There were a lot of really heavy scenes in the show. So it needed the lightness because of what it was. It was a teen show. I think the reason that I liked Buffy was because every single character, with probably the exception of Xander, grew over the series. So you watch them change. Things impacted them. They didn't come back and be all like, "Oh, it's all good." No, no, no. There's a lot of, there's a lot of impact and there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of that. So at the time that Buffy was going on, my sister was writing her master's and she did her thesis on Xena and the audience of Xena. She was doing it. She's a rhetoric.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, you need to watch Buffy. So she started watching Buffy and she realized the difference between Buffy and Xena is that Xena didn't really grow. There's not a strong character arc in Xena.
No.
Whereas in Buffy there was, and that's what was good about it. Like you had that growth. The characters felt things, shifted, changed, their perspectives changed, their life, everything changed. It was really good.
So the only growth in Xena was Gabrielle.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only growth. And it was interesting to kind of watch that evolution as it happened. But if you look at Xena, she's essentially, it's ironic. Like, I think the best aspects of Xena was the fact that she was a bad person, and there was a lot you could have done with the fact that, you know what, people don't just become good overnight, right? It's one of those things where you struggle with some things, right? And right. And so I'm writing a series right now. I took a Russian Park, basically a female version of a Parker novel. Mm-hmm. She's trying to kill evil versions of the Knights of the Round. She wasn't an assassin. Not just trying to become what a good person is. Mm-hmm. But it's a struggle. Like the thing about her is she thinks in very simple terms in one sense, because she's used to just, if a problem's there, you kill it and you move on. And that's not always the right thing to do. Like I literally finished writing a scene where it's like, old me would have just killed these cops. I'm trying to make them. Why is it so hard just not to do these things, right? And it's funny, but it's also that it's a sign of, like, you know what? That's where she's come, where she is. But then she has real issues, like she had drug issues that they're going to be explored, and a few other things are going to happen, right? And because of that, you just realize that, okay, these are real growth issues. Xena had the potential. She was a monster. She was a monster that was used to ruling everybody, right? So how do you go from that?
They touted her as a hero.
Yeah,
she was seen as a hero. The Xena warrior princess hero.
Yeah, but as you're talking about, like, in terms of growth, like, that was a huge wasted opportunity, right? Because you have Gabrielle grow to a lesser extent. I think Ares grew a little bit in the show too.
Yeah, he did.
To a lesser extent, right? But I mean, looking at that show, but then I don't think that show's just a fun show like that. I mean, right? But it's a fun show that could have been a good show. Right?
Yeah, it was a fun show that, it could have been better. They could have explored things more than they did.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's better than Hercules was.
Yeah, Hercules is pretty. Just cardboard cutout. Here we come.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Hercules had its moments, but like the best story for Hercules was when he lost his powers to marry the gal that became the Hind. Mm-hmm. That was it. Like, Hercules never got better than that. That was the best Hercules show that you're ever going to get. Xena at least had good shows throughout the entire run, right? Yes. So Hercules, I think season 3 is it. You just walk away because you're not topping that, like, ever. So
yeah, he was pretty flat.
Yeah, it's fair. I never thought I'd be talking Hercules and Xena with you. I got to be very honest with you.
Well, I have a lot of interests, which is why
it's all good. No, it's all good. You know what? I dig that. I think you have to, as a creative, have various interests. You have to look at the world and say what fascinates you, right? And because we're passionate people, we got to have passions.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, story and the way the story's told. And I mean, obviously, as an editor, the more I do it, the more I see where things could have been good and weren't because the writers didn't give the actors time or give them those moments or, develop it. And I see that in books too. I see that sometimes in some of the books I've read where I'm just like, okay, why? Why did you jump them from here to here? We want to see that. You gypped us. You gypped us. Because insta love, I don't believe in insta love. Insta chemistry, sure. Insta love, like 1 minute they hate this person, and the next minute I love you. No.
Well, no. I do believe in instant love, but I also don't think it's not that. What it is you suddenly I because you just someone that's following. It's like actually it can drive you nuts. You got this person you cannot not think about, and it just drives you absolutely up the wall, right?
I guess, but it feels like in the books where I see insta love not working is they don't want to have anything to do with the person. They don't like them.
Then it just magically changes.
And then like they have one nice picnic and suddenly they're, oh, I love you.
No, that's not usually that's not usually how
that's
that
not
works.
Reality. That's not how it works.
No, but I mean, I do I think like I said, it can be done. It's just it's hard because again, there's an expectation of telling a story, and a love story usually there has to be some kind of. So I read Ilona Andrews. I love the Kate Daniels books.
Yeah, Kate. Yeah, they have a real love story. Their story
it's fantastic. I think I laughed so loud when the first time she saw Karan goes, here, kitty. It's like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Yeah. Right? And then he unmorphs, and he's just like, and you could tell it rankled him, but it also intrigued him because it's not the reaction he normally gets. He's the biggest, baddest dude in the land, and he usually and in the novels, he tends to be the biggest, baddest dude in there. My favorite Karan scene in the whole time was when Simon and her were watching a video of him trashing cars because he thought like Simon how Kaon blackmail was the only thing that made sense to him on that whole situation. It's like there's no way she'd do this unless he blackmailed her in some form or fashion. And so I'm going to fix him. So he went and he trashed everything, and it was just like, no, dude, like Karan's Karan is my favorite of that kind of genre. Is my favorite. Like that's he's great, and kudos to both Ilona Andrews is a writing team, folks, of a husband and wife. They did it so well,
and that's why it worked because you had a male perspective, and that's something that my husband complains about a lot. In that, a lot of male counterparts in female written books, they don't do what normal guys would do. Like they don't address situations, or they get really like. So I like Sinead McGuire's writing, and I like her October Day series, but she's taken that main love interest and turned him into milquetoast. And no, he's not milquetoast. He's no.
Because once he's milquetoast, then she will lose interest in real life.
He wasn't milquetoast throughout until like one point in the book, and then suddenly he's in love with her, and he can't function, and he cries, and he's a whiny. No, that's not who he is. You built him up a certain way. You don't get to just suddenly change him into something that you want him to. I mean, you do because you're the writer, but it's like it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I used to love his character. I hate his character now.
Yeah. Whereas, like I say, you never feel that way about Karan. I'm actually like reading I actually read. I'm reading the Julie version because I've been very curious, on that, with where they're going to go with that, if it's going to be different or not.
It will. I think it will be. Here's my problem. I love those books. I'm mad about the last book.
About
the last book in the series, they rushed. They didn't do what they normally do. It felt like they were done with it. They didn't explain things. There were people on the battlefield who died, and they didn't even acknowledge them. They didn't have moments with all the people they normally have moments with. Like, it drove me crazy.
So so we were talking about some of the stuff, like we were talking about actors ripping off. This is kind of the problem they ran into. They were at a borderline. They straddle many things. Not right. They are an urban fantasy, but they're also a romance series, and they're also, to some degree, an epic fantasy series.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're talking about there puts them almost completely in the line of epic fantasy. because that's that right with the stakes at the very end of that book and the very end of that series. That particular, just that one. The rest of them, you can make an argument, but that one, I realize this is not, you're not liking the entirely where I'm going here, but let me hear me out completely here. I think this is one of the situations where they made a bunch of business decisions as well.
Yeah.
Because right, and I don't know if there is at least for the time being, I don't know if there's another really good Kate and Karan story they could tell.
That's not the problem. That's not the problem. That wasn't the problem.
Okay, no, but no, I agree with you. Just but I think what they're doing is like they wanted to be true to the whole book. They didn't want to write. I don't think to put everything in there you're talking about would have been another 200-300 pages. I'm not sure they really wanted to. I don't know, maybe that many, but it would have been. You don't think so? I think it would have been. I would have been a thicker book. It would have been a much thicker book, especially in that part of it.
Okay, so it's the little moments. It's the little moments that they didn't do that they've done in every other single book. She never talked to Julie for the whole book. She avoids her for the whole book. Like she never had a conversation with her kid at all. They never have a conversation.
No.
She shows up with Hugh. They should have had a conversation about that. They didn't. Hugh shows up and it's like, oh, okay. No, he almost killed her. It's not okay. And I get it. They don't want to do this whole thing and they were trying to move it on. And honestly, for me, they had these other series that they were more
that's the thing. That's the thing there. They're doing it in the other series.
Don't gyp the readers by shortcutting in the final book. It didn't need to be mounds and mounds and mounds of pages. It could have been a page, a scene, 500 words for just the little moments, the little touches. Before the battle scene, Semaine was there and he dies. I didn't even know he's there until the end when she's like, oh yeah, he died. Like, what? He's been in every single book. Like, just like a line, a hi. Oh, you're gonna fight? Oh, you're gonna be in your ice god form? Great. None of that. It was those things. It was the characters. It was the interactions with the characters that have been there for the entire series that they did not have that drove me crazy. It felt like it diverted too much from all of the books that came before.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. I going back to the business thing. Like I said, Hugh's got his own series. Julie now has her own series. I think what the Kate Daniels universe is their hit.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the other ones too, but
no. Let's be real here. Like #1 New York Times bestselling author Ilona Andrews. That's because of the Kate Daniels series.
Yeah.
And they are going to continue it beyond the publisher. I think it was really interesting about them in particular. They're indie publishing now completely.
Yeah.
The rest of those series.
They pulled everything out.
Yeah, which I think is, well, like I said, between that and the Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter, and a few other things I've noticed, I like publishing is becoming decentralized, and I think a lot of authors that can see that are kind of building their own little corners of the universe. Is what I actually think is happening.
Yeah, and it's super smart. Like I said, I don't mind all that, and I think, and I see why they did it. I got it. I got the reason behind it. I just felt like,
you should have paid it off a little bit more in the main books. A little bit more. No, I get it.
I'm talking sprinkles. I'm talking sprinkles. I'm not talking like whole chapters. Like when I talk to my writers about, okay, you need to add in some emotion. You need to add a little bit of depth. We need to know what's happening. We need to see the build. It's sprinkles. It's like a little dash here, a little dash here. That's what I was talking about.
No, that's fair. No, I get you. I can respect where you're coming from. I just, like I said, I saw it for the business it was too, because of everything else they were doing. It's just like, okay, you know what? I get it. I'm with you. It's like I said, it's a unique problem to have. I mentioned this in other shows I've done, is when you have a hit that you can expand and grow in a variety of different directions. Like I said, I enjoyed the Julie book. Like that is interesting. It's years later. She's become a very different person. They put some of that lore in there. I think it's really cool. But it's also just like, yeah, this is the reason you're doing this is because of all the success you've had. You want this to continue. So I can understand why you made some of the decisions you made. But
I can, but it's the
yeah,
penultimate book for them, and I kind of wanted it to.
you wanted a Wheel of Time, in the sense like you get everything or as much as you possibly can, right in there. You get all your satisfaction, like all your characters get satisfied. And I mentioned the Wheel of Time because yes, it's a 15-book monster, but that last book, man, everybody that you really want to have a moment with gets one, all of them, right?
I haven't read the Wheel of Time. I'm currently carving my way through Malazan, which is a whole thing.
Steven Erikson series, which I'm kind of. It's good writing. I don't particularly. It's not. I'm not sure he knows how it's gonna go. I read a couple of them and then I just realized I'm not sure he knows the end game there.
No, they're done.
Yeah, they're actually done. They're actually done now?
10 books.
Oh, you actually finished it. Okay.
Yes, as far as I know, it's 10 bucks.
Because he had other people doing Malazan books too. Now that's when I realized, like, oh,
they're side stories though.
Okay.
So they're not, and they're written by another guy, and they're not as good. So if anybody, lots of theories about how to read the books, but you're supposed to read them in publishing order, and they want you to, they're basically like read the Erikson books first, and then on your reread, go back and read them with the other.
Okay, fair enough. No, fair enough. Because when I read the first two of Erikson books, I wasn't sure he knew where he was going. Like that was just when I read them, right? And I mean, granted, maybe I'm just used to a certain kind. I'm just being fair here. I'm just used to a certain kind of maybe fantasy kind of now. And he went like, I'll give him this. He went big. He went for broke. I mean, props to him for that. But he went for broke. But at the same time, it was like I'm not like because the order's not necessarily chronological. Depending on the books you read, right? They're about different key moments at different points. So so is the crescendo in book 10 worth it?
Apparently, I haven't got there yet. I'm in book 3, so I've read the first 2.
Because it was 2 for me, and I would say I'm not sure. Like there's just something about this that just is like I'm not sure. Like there's just something about it just made me go that way.
I think. I think he does. I think.
Okay, sure.
He's known for throwing you in the deep end and hoping you swim. I mean, he's an archaeologist, so he sees things a little bit differently.
Yeah, that was why I was kind of looking forward to it too. But it was at the same point, it's just like, yeah, I think the thing that really got me is usually a fantasy series has like, okay, Discworld's is a different animal slightly.
Yeah, you can't count Discworld.
Yeah, well, you can, but yeah, you got
not compared to Malazan. It's
no,
different animal.
No, very different animal. But what I mean is, Discworld doesn't really have a main character either. But there are characters you're familiar with in certain books. I felt like with Malazan that might be why I didn't connect with it. Maybe I'll try again now that I'm older and wiser and all that stuff. Because he doesn't have that. Like when you get to the end of the first one, like most of the characters are dead. Second one, right? It's just like
some of the characters from the first book are in the second book, and then the second book is a different place. But then book 3 is back to the characters from the first book.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. I tried it. It was just like for me anyway.
It's a lot of characters.
It is a lot. It was just one of those things where I just was like, you have to connect. This is where like someone like Sanderson or even Fonda Lee do a really good job of. Mm-hmm. You connect to those characters very much so, and so it makes it easier. So when you take me into the deep end, I'm okay. I got my rubber ducky. It's right here. I know I'm good. Right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me. I don't mind complex stories, but I also I have to see the human connection to it, right? There has to. Right? I don't need everything necessarily. Have you ever read a comic book creator by the name of Grant Morrison?
No.
Okay, he did a comic, like a 28 issue thing called 7 Soldiers of Victory, but 7 soldiers that save the world but never meet each other. Mm-hmm. It's really, really cool. Like there's 4-issue miniseries with each of the 7 characters, and there's the front end and the back end. It's ambitious as hell. And then to me, I thought it's a cool caveat, a cool concept. and I really dug it. Like the minis are really cool. Like I'm a big Zatanna fan, but I love the Shining Knight. I love some of the stuff he did. Just like you really like all these characters are super cool. Clarion the Rich Boy is one of my all-time favorites. Like that miniseries is just super fun. But you get to the main, like the payoff, and I'm like, I see why that was such a hard thing to do, because if the characters don't meet, you need a connective tissue of some point, and I'm not sure it was quite there. And that it's super hard. Like when you look at something like ambitious, like it's ambitious. I think it's a neat concept. But there has to be like that linking somewhere that where it links. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is some linking, and because like I said, there's characters that show up in book 1 and book 2, and the prologue, one of the characters in book 1 shows up in both books. Sorry, who becomes Apsalar. But I think it's one of those books where you have to read the whole thing to see where they all connect, and some of them die, and some of them reincarnate, and
No, I totally and now that they're all out, maybe I will give it a shot, because when I was trying to read it book order, it's like that was what happened to me when I finished the second book. It was like, I don't know, you know where you're going, and that's like it was like right. And now it also just could be at the time where I was as a writer, as a creative too. It's maybe I couldn't see the big picture so much.
And maybe he didn't really know. Maybe some of his plot lines. I mean, I'm writing a series, and I have stuff, and I have ideas about where it's going to go, and then I sit down to write the book, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing that now.
Oh yeah, so I call that planting. It's somewhere between plotting and pantsing. You have a plot. Sometimes God laughs. Sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah, I plotted the first book, plants the first book, basically, and then I pantsed book 2 and book 3, and book 2 was a bit of a disaster because I didn't quite know where it was going, and that was on me. Book 3, I knew what I wanted to have happen at the end, so I could get myself there. But I have this like whole series. I know how the series is going to end. I just don't know how to get myself there yet.
Oh, so me, I saw the Russian series. I know where it is theoretically. They can all. I designed it in such a way that was like it can end after every book, because that way it doesn't. That way I don't kill myself, right? If I don't, like, or this doesn't become funny anymore, I will give you a satisfying conclusion at the end of the books, right?
Yeah,
but I do have like an Uber arc, like in my story. The first knight she tries to kill is Percival, who is like an evil version of Rasputin and a genie. I inverted Percival into like the ultimate used car salesman you want to punch in the face. That's what I did. That's what I did. You're laughing because you can just see it, right? You can totally see it, right? And so I have a very clever way. I know exactly, in theory, right, where the book's going to go. I even know what the ending of the book is going to be. I even know what the next book is.
I know what the ending, yeah.
Right? I know what the next book is. I know the ending of that one too, right? I'm having fun too because I'm playing with a real... Do you know what the Night Witches are?
Don't think so.
They were a World War II Russian fighter plane. They were all women.
Oh, yeah. They were snipers, right?
Oh, no. They were pilots.
They were pilots. Because I know there's two groups. There's like the sniper ladies, and then the...
No, the pilot ladies were the most successful army in World War II for the Russians. They flew wooden planes at night, and they terrorized the Germans, and they won. They had the fewest casualties and the most victories. So I'm playing with some of that history as well, because I just think that's like, literally, if you want to make an argument that women are badasses, that's the group to look at, because they were the baddest of all asses.
That or the little old ladies in the Ukraine with their sniper rifles laying down on the ground, popping in real life right now.
Well, it's one of those situations where you realize, like, you put people in a corner and you'd be surprised what they're capable of, right? And
what do they've got to lose? They've lived their lives, you know.
Well, it's not even that. You just come to a point, like, even doesn't matter how old you are, you realize something too, right? I might not walk away from this tomorrow. So what the fuck am I going to do today?
Yeah.
Okay, right? And you come to that point in your life where you openly do not give a shit anymore. I've hit that point. This is my like I had my personal apocalypse at 27. The second apocalypse just reinforced it. Now I'm now an honest monster, and I can honestly say that in this regard. I'll tell it like I see it. I don't care anymore, right? I'm open enough to have a discussion with you, but at this point I'm not going to pull my punches. I'll shatter your illusions, and I won't give a shit either. So that's where I'm at, right? And that makes you laugh because you come to that point in your life, you just realize I don't got time for this bullshit anymore.
No.
Right?
No.
So that's where I'm at, and that's where and when you get to that point, not much scares you, right? And when you get to that, like, not much actually does. Don't get me wrong, you respect things. There's a difference. You have a healthy respect of life and death. You have a healthy respect of what you may or may not lose. You just don't give a shit the same way. What happens is instead of being frozen in it, you're like, okay, this is just the way it is. This is what I got to do. Fuck it. Okay, let's do it. That's the 70-year-old lady in the sniper rifle. That's the Russian wife that's flying the plane. They were in like their 30s, their 40s, their 20s, right? Same thing. Age doesn't really matter. There just comes a point in life when you just realize I'm either going to let this break me or I'm going to let this make me, and you become something tremendous and powerful and amazing. You still might not walk away, but you become something greater. And it's amazing to watch that happen, no matter where you are, who you are, right? It's not that they're using a sniper rifle and going after the enemy. It's the fact that they're like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck it. This is where I'm making my stand. If you're gonna come kill my ass to stop me, right? Because I ain't gonna stop until you're dead. And that's admirable. That's brave. That's heroic. That's all those things, right? That's all those things. But it's also that realization, like when you're in those moments, those life and death moments, you realize too, there's not much in this life that really fucking matters. There's what you love and who you love. That's it. Everything else literally will come and go like that. Everything. So enjoy the journey, have fun, take no shit from no one. Fuck that. And then stand your ground, be firm in what you believe in, be open enough to listen because the world is bigger than you. But if you have those things down, and if you can remember to keep all that shit together, right? Not much else matters. Not much else really does, right?
That's true.
Yeah, that's it. Right, again, I dealt with my own personal apocalypse at 27. I nearly died. It's kind of changed me forever. And then the pandemic, when it hit, didn't make me scared. It pissed me off. Yeah, right. I
wasn't really scared. Was I scared? I wasn't scared.
No, but some people were. Some people were terrible.
No, I know. Some people were. I mean, but I've lived enough things. I've gone through enough things to not be scared from that.
Yeah. Again, there's a healthy respect. That's different. You go against something bigger than you, and you know it. You know it. There's no argument. You just know. But you're not afraid of it anymore the same way either. You just this is just part of life. There are bigger things than me, and I can accept that. Right? That's a very different attitude than, oh my God, I may not be here. No, you might not be here tomorrow. That was always true. Congratulations, right?
Yeah, there's a line from in one of Annie Lennox's song. There's a line that she wrote that dying is easy. It's living that scares me to death.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's the hardest thing of all is to be alive.
Yeah.
Are you a Star Trek fan?
I've watched most of them. I'm not a fan of the new stuff, but I've watched most of them.
Did you watch Next Generation?
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite line's from Q after he introduces them to the Borg. He goes, "It's not safe out here, right? There are wonders to satiate even the strongest desires, but there are terrors that can make you wallow in your bones. If you don't like it, go crawl back under your bed."
Yeah.
Right? He's right. We're not walking away from this thing. So, fuck it. What do you want to do? Because you're here. Right? So, I see I scored a point. I see I scored a point there. I think I scored a point. You're like, that's refreshing.
Yeah, I see life. This is how I see life. I see life as a choice. you have a choice as to how you see things. You have a choice as to how you take things. You have a choice as to what you're going to do. Not doing something is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can choose to be scared. You can choose to isolate. You can choose your poison. You can choose your anxieties. You can choose to take what somebody says about you in a certain way, but you are making the choice to do that. And if you choose not to do anything, if you spend your life not doing anything, then you're not showing up for your own life. You're not participating in your own life because you're making no decisions. You're just allowing things to happen to you. So you have to make decisions to participate in your own life. And everything's a choice. Everything is a choice.
So I had an epiphany about 5 years ago. And it was this: everyone does exactly what they want to do at any time. Period. The only question is this: are you aware that you're doing what you want, or do your desires control you? That's it.
Fear controls a lot of people.
Fear is also conserving a want, though. If you decide not to do something out of fear, right? I'm afraid to do this, right? That is serving a desire. It's not necessarily a healthy desire, but it's a desire you have. That desire to stay still, that desire to be safe, a desire, whatever that fear is, right? Or it could also be something as simply as harmless as I'm just not ready to deal with this. But you gotta be honest with yourself about what that actually is or isn't. And sometimes what I find with people is people will do an action and not fully understand why they're doing this action. They're serving a want, but not necessarily the wants that they consciously realize they're in control of. And that's something I realized. Like most of us, we are acting on some desire one way or the other. Like I said, are we aware of those desires, whatever they are?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's similar to like you have a choice. You can choose to
No, absolutely, no,
you know
absolutely, no.
you can choose to let fear control you. You can choose to not do that thing that you really want to do
Yeah.
because it's too scary,
No,
or
no
you can
matter what,
choose
no matter what, you're still making a choice. I
yeah.
think this is where it's copacetic. You're making a choice. You're doing what you want, no matter what. It's just sometimes we're making these choices out of these impulses we don't always fully understand, and sometimes it serves us. Like sometimes, another term for impulse is intuition, right? Sometimes an intuition is correct, even if you don't fully understand it at the time. Sometimes, like it was interesting. I had a weird dream about a friend last night, and something just told me to check up on them. And I did, and I'm glad I did. They were in trouble, needed some help, so I was able to help them a little bit anyway, right? So it was one of those. But I tell you what their intuition came from fully? I don't have an answer to that question, right? And there's a want now. What want am I serving there? Well, concern for my friend, yes, that's part of it, right? But also, I mean, it was just one of those subconscious things where I just, for whatever reason, there was a connection made. It's like you got like something's up here. I don't know what that is exactly, but again, that's not always a bad thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? It's not right. It's not always a bad thing. It's understanding those things, right? Understanding the fact, like I think the biggest war we have with ourselves is understanding those wants we have and why we have them, right? And because once you can understand them, you can control them and make ideally better choices. Sometimes actually, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a matter of I don't know if it's a matter of controlling them, but it's a matter of not being controlled by them.
Yeah, fair enough. No,
I
that's
think it's a
actually
better
no.
way of
Yeah, I
it's the
agree with
same.
that.
It's a slightly different take to that statement. I think
I actually like yours better, to be honest. So I think that's actually a better way of putting it.
because most people operate from a stance of fear, and
Yeah,
any resistance that you have, if you are frustrated or you're fighting against something, or it's too hard, and it's like you're hitting your head against the same wall over and over. There's a resistance there. There's a fear. There's something that you're fighting yourself in that moment. You don't think you
yeah,
are because you think it's no, everything's just it's really hard. No,
it's all here.
yeah,
It's all here at that point. It's all there.
you're
Now,
you're fighting. Like just stop. Just stop. Take a breath.
Well, you got to take a breath at that point. You got to try to figure it out.
Go with the flow and then see, am I supposed to be going this way? Am I just thinking I have to go this way? Is fear telling me this is the choice, or am I just not fully committing to it? Or, like I had a friend who wanted to live in New York City, and she moved to New York City, but she did it in a half-assed way. And it ended up not working out for her. And she scurried back home to California because she never fully embraced it, because she was too scared to fully embrace it. And it ended up backfiring on her because the fear didn't let her, she didn't just let it go and just go for it.
So for me, a year ago, I was still doing temp work to get some money here and there. I've been a freelancer now for 2 years. So I was, after it was not quite this, about 2 more months from now, I was working at this job. And I knew the job wasn't going to last very long. It was going to be about 2 weeks. So I figured that's great. I can get some money up and do some stuff. I got fired in 3 days. Now, here's the thing. I did nothing wrong. I actually, like I said, I couldn't wrap my brain around it because I did everything I was asked to do to the best of my ability. No one said anything one way or the other about what I was doing, what I wasn't doing. Just for whatever reason, I just didn't fit. And so it forced me to change my mindset as a freelancer, because when I started freelancing, my biggest fear was I would screw it up and end up back working for somebody. That's the wrong way to approach freelancing. The right way to approach freelancing is actually, this takes a while to really get this in your head, is what I do is worthwhile. And I'm offering something to the world that is worth doing. And I believe in it enough to charge for it. It sounds like almost like an absurdity, but you've got to have it. If you don't have that, you have no chance in this field. None. Mm-hmm. That getting fired forced me to reevaluate that. And that week, I made more money in that week than I've ever made in my life. Now, again, it's up and down. It's definitely
it's freelance.
It's freelance.
It's freelance. You're only guaranteed so much.
Yeah, but there are no guarantees. I think that's the best thing about life. But my favorite thing about being a freelancer is this: multiple paychecks on the same week. Sometimes every day I get paid. That's a phenomenal feeling. That's my favorite thing about it. My least favorite thing about it is I'm not sure what I'm doing. But here's where I'm at right now. I'm working for a marketing company giving away free merchandise. That's a freelance gig. It's for another 10 weeks. I'm playing a collectible card game for testing and getting paid to do it.
Awesome.
It's awesome, right? I'm making videos for clients, which for advertising, authoring services or projects and things of that nature. And I'm making advertising content for another client, for a major client for them. So I'm basically, I'm in advertising right now. I've shifted into that thing, and I think it's very creative. It has been surprisingly very creatively rewarding. My creative writing skills have served me very well in advertising. I have been very surprised how much those skills intertwine.
Yeah, I mean, I did online marketing for 7 years. I've worked in publishing. Once upon a time, I did law school. I was a lawyer for a blip. I've been in publishing. I've done online marketing. Now I'm back into publishing again with writing coach and development editing, and But now I'm copy editing for an advertising agency. So it's like, and it's all freelance. So I get to
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm making pretty graphics and writing blogs right now for mine. But I mean, that's not.
It's good.
But it's so I'm looking at it well, there's 2 things about this, folks. Advertising is recession proof. That's one of the reasons why I've gone in that direction. But the other,
depends on where you are.
No, actually, here's the best thing. The more a recession hits, the more advertising revenues actually go up for the most part. Companies spend more on advertising during down periods and up periods. I've actually done the research on that. By and large, it's an uptrend. Because what they realize is there's less money out there, so they have to call on more attention to actually get their stuff out there, which I actually think is an interesting thing about advertising. In tougher times, it's actually in more demand, not less. Something I've learned. But the other thing about it too is it's essentially short story writing. Like, it's all it is. It's short story writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's microfiction if you're doing. I was doing paid search and display, so that was microfiction.
Most advertising ad copy is microfiction.
Yeah,
it's what it is. So if you're a flash fiction writer, honestly, that's where the money is for you. Go into advertising because your skills are very much in high demand there. But and I'm not joking, folks. I'm not joking at all. Like it's serious. But
Copywriters are needed.
yeah. That all said, you talk about writing your own books and series and stuff like that. So do you ever shut off your editor brain when you write?
When I write, yes. It's a weird. When I read it back, that's where it gets a bit tricky.
Yeah.
So it gets a bit tricky. When I read other people's stuff, it's hard. I don't just read stuff now to be a reader. I get stuck in the, okay, but why didn't you do that? You could have done this better. And there's a hole there. And so it's a bit trickier. But yeah, no, when I write. Like when I'm in the zone, I sit down and I just write. I don't let my editor get involved. I don't revise. I don't, I just keep moving forward. The only times I look back is if I need to add a note to myself to add something in the scene because I came up with a new direction and I needed to make sure it's somewhere in the earlier parts of the book, or if I'm trying to get a feel for where I was and how it was feeling so that I don't break it in the next scene. But yeah, so I write, and I'm a stream. I know some writers jump around. I can't do that. I have to write all the way. I have to write front to back.
I do that too. I have to. I have to do that. It just partly because it's fun. Because I discover shit along the way and it's awesomely glorious. That's why I do it like that.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is, because I like okay, so I know what the last scene with my main character and Percival is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this so much. Like I already know. Like I could see it perfectly.
See,
so here's the thing. I could write that scene now.
It wouldn't be as good.
No, it wouldn't. Let me get to that moment, right? I want to make Percival as douchey as possible. Right?
Yeah, I think so. I always have in my head running scenes, and I run these imaginary scenes. And I was writing book 2, and I had scenes from book 3 that were running through my head, but I never write them the way that I experience them when I'm spinning on them at some point, because I always have a movie running in my head. And then so I sat down. Like I said, book 2 was a bit of it's in much better shape. I've actually finally figured out what the theme is, and I made it work. But it was a bit of a shit show. And it's taken 3-4 months of edits to get it there, but it's fine. It's fine. Book 3. So what I did was I wrote draft 2 in August and September of last year, and September of last year, and then I wrote book 3, rough draft, in November, and I got it done in 5 weeks. And when I sat down to write book 3, I knew where I wanted it to go, and it just kind of flowing, and it was working, and it was good. And then I got to the very end of the book, and I knew how I wanted it to end, because I'm doing kind of mini trilogies, but that are part of a larger arc. And I got to the end, and my brain was like, "Oh no, we've got something special for you," and I threw in a twist right at the end that I did not plan, that I did not dream about, that I had no idea. It was just coming, and it twisted, and it's gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my God, like I have to put this back. I have to do some things in book 2 to make that twist work in book 3. So I'm really happy that I did the back to back of them. But yeah, but I left my brain. I was like, I have to write another chapter.
That's awesome. So for me, what I'm doing, so have you ever checked out the old Richard Stark crime, like the Parker novels?
I've not. I mean, I do a lot of like mystery reading, crime reading, but I haven't done it.
Okay, so those are very old.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a version of this for Darwin Cook did his own version of them, and he's a illustrator, right? So he did like a graphic novel, not quite a graphic novel version, but like a novelization with all these cool little pictures and images of it. So I'm finishing this book now because I have somebody I want to do this. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for this. I loved all this stuff." So this is like the best thing. So so for me, it's going to be like two different versions of it. There's going to be the written version. I get to an editor. Please clean me up, because I consider myself like, you remember those old like kindergarten marble painters, put marble and paint and just roll it around. That's kind of like what my drafts are like. So it's like, here you go, fix me. And then my editor just wants to get a little like, you know, probably a little drunk after looking at some of the stuff I come up with, but that's okay. It's all good. But hey, listen, you're an editor. I know this for a fact. There's when it's great prose, you love every second of it. When it's terrible prose, it hurts something deep inside you. I've been there, right. No, it does, because you care. You want the best story possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is you read it and you're like, this could have been really good. And that's the part that really pisses you off, actually, because this is the part where you're like, it's right there. They had the right idea.
Just need to dial it up.
Yeah, but it's like, and then there's and then that but happens. And then sometimes it's fixable, and that's fine. You're not as pissed about that. Sometimes it ain't. Like, sometimes you go look at it like I can't fix this without changing the, oh, God damn it. And that's when you get really sad and really, really like, okay, this is what you do to fix this. I recommend a new book, but if you're not going to do that, this is what you're going to do. And you're laughing because you know exactly what I mean, right? And you know,
yeah, I'm usually like, okay, so these are some of the ways that you can fix this.
Yes, but when it goes completely sideways, it hurts a lot.
Yeah.
It's great, but no, you love it when it's great, and you just got to do a couple little things. That's the best thing, because although you kind of feel like, why am I here? There's another part that's like, okay, I get it. Like, they just want this to be as good as possible, and I'm more than happy to do that. And then there's somewhere in the middle where it's good, but it needs a little bit of it just needs someone to go through and go, okay, this works. And that's probably typically what you normally get. And then every once in a while it goes completely south, where you're just like, this hurt my brain, man. This really hurt my brain. Right? So, and you love the first, you hate the second, and you usually get somewhere in like column 2, which is like, it's good. And that's what you're there for, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of first-time writers, so I get
you get the highs and the lows. You get the highs and the lows a lot.
Yeah. I get the first really beautiful rough drafts.
And she says beautiful, but just the way folks, the look on her face right now.
You know what though? They end up coming out with, they have these great ideas, and they get better the longer I work with them, and they come out with a book. And while it may not be the best thing since sliced bread, it's pretty darn good, and that's all I want. Like, that's what I want, because I know that my book isn't perfect. My first book is not perfect. I know that I didn't do things as good as I could have. I didn't show and not tell as much as I could have. I might have used my hand motions too much in the book. I know there was one chapter right before it went to copy editing where I had the word counter in there like 12 times. Why, brain? So, and I fixed it, but I'm sure that happened elsewhere in the book. You know what I mean? And recently I opened it up to find some quote, and I noticed that I had a second person POV sentence in the middle. I'm like, where did this come from? I edited this thing like 6 times. So I know it's not perfect, but I know that I'm getting better and better and better. And that's what's going to happen with that. Like, they're going to keep writing, and they're going to get better, and they're going to remember how, you know, their first draft and what it looked like. And it's just going to get better. And that's like the whole point, right? That's the whole point of writing.
I can already tell you're a good editor. You want to know why?
I love helping my writers do that.
No, and that's why.
I love it.
No, that's why. That's why you're a great editor, right? Because I'm sure there's up and down moments. Like I say, oh yeah, sorry, she's laughing.
Stream of consciousness writers, woo.
Sometimes, but every once in a while, like even in there are gems. Sometimes. Anyways, I digress, right?
You know, the ones that are the stream of consciousness writers I tend to work with are nonfiction, and you can fix that. You can break their pieces up and move them into different chapters and jigsaw the crap out of it to take what they created and actually make it work for a reader who's not a stream of consciousness reader. And that works. And it works. It's just, it takes a lot of work.
That's not your favorite thing in the world to do.
It's not. It's not.
It's okay.
But I do it.
No, if the money's right, you'll do it. Right. right? That's the way it is. We are professionals at the end of the day. But helping someone get better, helping someone see their pros, that's like, I can't wait, because for me, okay, I did epic poetry, I do comic book scripts, I do novels, I do I do a lot of different. Yeah, my first novel, I look back at it and I'm like, I'm proud of it. Some of it makes me genuinely laugh still. Some of it still does. Some of it, though, it's like, I could have done this better.
Oh,
These novels I'm writing now are so much better, because I actually, like, one of the things I really think, like, I think maybe the turn the corner moment for every writer is when they start thinking in these terms. How do I tell this story the best? That's when you turn the corner as a writer, as a creative of any, and actually as a creative, not just art, but everything. Because at that point, you're thinking in the way you really need to think to tell a story really well, right?
Yeah. I will say, like when I read, I had to read book 3 because I was trying to find the one thing that I referenced so that I could put it in book 2 to make sure it was, consistent across the series. And I started reading book 3 to find that thing, and I just kept reading it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so good.
I heart you. So listen, we're going to wrap this up soonish, but please come back. Please come back. You're awesome.
I'm working on a cozy paranormal book as well right now that I think I'm going to do in Kindle. But so I've got a couple different things. I've got my urban fantasy series, book 1, which is out, book 2 and 3, which are coming out. Book 2 in September, and book 3 probably in March. But I'm also doing a cozy paranormal. It's a completely different series.
That's the cool thing about being an indie. That's the cool thing about being an indie, because you can do whatever the hell you want, and it's beautiful, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think here's the thing. When you start off with indie publishing, you hear all this advice and people tell you all these things, and you think you have to do things a certain way. Like, I heard all this advice: build your brand first, do your fantasy series first. My fantasy series is going to be like 9 to 12 books long. I am not finishing it till 2025, 2026, which means my idea for the cozy was not going to happen for like 5 years. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. But I really wanted to write it. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it anyway.
So this is what I figured out. Every story has been told.
Yeah.
But there's only one me.
Exactly.
So if that's the case, do it my way. And it sounds like that sounds really like simplistic.
No, it's where I got to too, where I was like, screw it. I'm going to do what I want. I want to write this book. I'm going to write it. Yeah,
no, and that's the thing is, like, it's not about, because you can do everything right and still never be noticed. Yeah. You can do everything wrong and still be noticed. I think the real secret is, okay, can I tell a story I'm proud of? So for example, I'm doing an epic poetry Alice in Wonderland Greek mythology mashup series.
Okay. That's awesome. All right.
Yeah. So Alice is Pandora. She opens the box and gets a certain Cheshire friend inside her head.
Cool.
That's the story.
I've got a voice in my head too in my book. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It got nominated for an award as an indie. So it's just like, kill. You know what? I don't. That actually was all the validation I needed. I wrote an epic poetry thing. Well, okay. My first traditional published thing was epic poetry, which already kind of tells you, like, I've kind of defeated. Cool. I've already beaten the odds in so many ways already just doing that. But I mean, the other thing about it too is just you just come to this realization: there's no right way to do this. There's really comes right down to is this, and this is just being an honest. This is one of those honest gut checks every creative has to make. What serves you? Yeah. Because okay, publishing right now, I can publish indie, I can publish small press, I can publish big press, traditional press. Well, by the way, personal note, I think small press is the way to go if you're going to go traditional. That's just my opinion. That's not.
Yeah, I've worked in trad. Small press is the way to go.
Yeah. So that's just my opinion. Yeah. There's Kickstarter, which I think is an untapped market for a lot of creatives. Unbound, which is another one. You got Wattpad, Kindle Vella. So I just listed off the top of my head 7 different ways you could publish.
Yeah.
7. Now, not every one of them work for everything. I had mentioned this before, right? My Alice in Wonderland, when I do the physical copy of the book, I want to put a board game with it. So that limits my options in terms of where I can go with it. It's perfect for Kickstarter though.
Yeah.
So why not do it for Kickstarter, right? It makes sense there. Now, your story, again, you're like, I'm doing my freaking paranormal. I don't care. So I'm going to do I'm going to choose. And it sounds like you're pretty confident being an indie. Not, by the way,
Yeah.
kudos to you on that.
Yeah.
Right. I say it like that because that's like you made a conscious choice. Now, maybe somewhere down the line, like you might do Kindle Vella. It might be Kindle. You said this. You might do this as a Kindle Vella.
I'm gonna do the Cozy's Kindle Vella, and then when it's done, I'm gonna publish it as a book. But under my indie.
That's a choice. That's a conscious choice of how you're pursuing this. Nothing wrong with that, right?
And if it doesn't work in Kindle Vella, I don't really care. I'm still gonna publish it in a book.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
there's no magic to this, guys, right?
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to get the notice. It's hard to get people to buy your books. It's hard to get the thing. I get that. And that's the struggle. That's the struggle being an indie, but that's the struggle as a trad author too. And people don't realize how little publishing companies are going to help you.
Unless they're small press. That's why the small press, I recommend that. They have limitations, but they will help you. If you're looking to get,
Yes. Yeah. Somewhat, but you still have to do a lot of the work yourself.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter which way you go. You're going to be doing a lot of the work yourself. So that's just the way it is. Yeah. The question, ladies and gentlemen, when you're listening to this, watching this, whatever you're doing, what serves you? Exactly. Because everybody has honestly has a different answer, right? There are some genres that are still served best by traditional publishing. There are still some genres served best by indie. Like we mentioned, this like urban fantasy. I think is very much an indie field. There's a reason
it's doing really well on indie. There's lots of really good series out there.
Yeah, exactly. So thriller also is a great indie choice. Romance is also a great indie choice, right? But
literary fiction pub, you want trad pub for that?
Yeah. But again, every genre has their own answers.
Yeah.
Every story has its own challenge. Like I said, I want to do a board game. Guess what? I can't really go to a lot of publishers for that because they won't have a clue what to do with it.
Yeah.
But a Kickstarter, I can do that. Right? And it might lead, again, I may not ever get an award for it, but I might make a fun ton of money that way too. So it really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I don't need the awards. I mean, the awards are nice because it gives you more marketing kudos, but I just want people to read the book. I want people to enjoy the book. Like, that's all I care about. I just want them to like it, or to enjoy it when they read it. Not like it it needs to boost my ego. It's not about my ego at all. I love to read books, and I love books when I sit down and I just am like, and it's gone. That's what I want people to feel when they read my book. That's what I want. That's all I want.
And that's all. And that's all I want too. I want people to be like, "Oh, this is such a cool idea," right? I made you kind of popular when you said like Alison Green. I was like, "Okay, I'm in. I'm kind of curious about that, right?"
Yeah.
So maybe, right. And vice versa. Like your cozy paranormal, like that sounds fun. Your urban fantasy with the evil twist. I'm assuming that's the one with the evil twist.
Well, it doesn't have the evil twist. It has a really good twist at the end.
Okay.
It's my urban fantasy is basically, it's kind of coming of age 25-year-old girl who finds out she's got a voice in her head, and she's got a purpose that she didn't know she had, and there's outsiders, there's identity issues, there's agency. Like, it's about growth. It's more about growth than anything else. It's not like a Kate Daniels and the kick-ass kind of slaying thing. There's no romance. It's about her and the voice in her head, their relationship, their friendship, really. And it grows from, where they start, but also it's about Seraphina's journey through life.
Yeah.
You gotta go soon.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting free coffee. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So it's been weird. Like, I'm in my movie situation completely just like resolves Monday. So I'm in like a traveling show for the last little bit, and it's been kind of like interesting. So I get like free. So yeah, I've been doing the last few shows at Starbucks, but that's. But no, I totally get where you're coming from in the sense that, like, I don't care about awards. I don't care about recognition. Actually, here's what I care about. I care about, so this was the best compliment I've ever gotten from my writing. I'm sure you've probably gotten similar ones. Is this: I really like your story. When's the next one?
Mm-hmm.
That Is
Yeah,
all
I got like one of my first fans who don't know me, friends, family who don't know me, who read my book. I had somebody say, I love it. I want to be a beta reader. I want to read your second book. And I was like, I am a real fan. Not just like friends or writer friends who like the book, but like somebody who's random on Goodreads, just a reader who,
so
it's the best.
no. I think officially, I think I heart you. Yeah, I officially heart you. Right.
Oh,
I officially heart you. I think, yeah, please come back. I think honestly, yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this conversation a touch short. But that all said, you're an awesome. You have a lot of stories. I can totally tell. I'm so glad I reached out to you.
Yeah,
Right?
it's been fun.
Yeah, we talked about everything. Like I never thought.
Talk about Xena.
Yeah, I never thought I would talk about Xena and Hercules. But I mean, at least we both conceded Xena was the better of the two shows.
Oh,
so,
God, yeah.
So anyway, we should probably plug your stuff. I'm gonna see that I'm almost. I looked your book up because I may pick this up for myself.
Yeah.
In my particular case. So yeah. Oh, I did find it. So here's what I did.
Deep Space Between is the book.
Yeah. So this is what I did right here, folks. You can find the link right there.
Yeah.
Because
it's on all
the platforms. I just went to Amazon because I'm. But how can people find you if they want to hang out with you?
Gosh, well, Twitter, obviously, that's where you found me. I've got a website, which is CassandraStirling.com, where I post journals about my writing journey a lot. Actually, I do book reviews on there too. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, same handle, Cassandra C. Stirling. You can find me on Facebook, although I'm not on there as much. And TikTok. I'm on TikTok, so go find me on TikTok.
I will go find you on TikTok because I am there too, actually. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap this up, I want to thank. Yeah, please come back. I think I truly think we have I truly think we had a blast.
It was a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, a blast. I also just I like it when people are honestly themselves, and I think and the really cool thing about you, honestly, after just this very short conversation, you're totally a piece of yourself, and I dig it.
Yeah,
I really dig it.
This is who I am, and
Yeah, I love it. So for those people watching, those people listening, first off, thanks to Cassandra for coming on. But here's my advertising service. If you're a creative looking to advertise a book, I make videos, words, images, and audio. I mean, you can hear it on the podcast if you listen to it. Advertising your projects or yourselves. If you are interested, go check out my webpage and do that. I am trying to get there right now because I am on a Kickstarter project right now.
Cool.
I wrote a short story about a glorious glitter dragon, a magic card that basically got altered and and now wants to seek revenge on its owner. And it's my favorite first line ever. In the end, it was the glitter that set them off.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because glitter gets everywhere.
And you are this awesome, all-powerful dragon that won games, and now you're just covered up in glitter and paint, and you're just you want revenge. So that's currently going on right now. I was looking for the link, but I don't think I'm going to have time to post it. So I'm just going to thank Cassandra. I am back Sunday with actually the Kickstarter we're talking about. John Westhoff is my guest this Sunday. All right, I'm also playing my first card game this weekend. Stay tuned for more information on that. I want to thank Cassandra, for everybody watching, everybody listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys Sunday.
Yeah.